Why aren't you getting better at guitar? If you're feeling stuck right now on the guitar and you're not making any progress and you're beating your head against the wall going, why am I not getting better? Today, I'm gonna help you understand two big reasons why that may be the case. And at the end of the video, we're gonna go over strategies that you can use to actually get over that and continue to progress on the guitar. If you aren't stuck right now, eventually you're going to hit a rut with your guitar playing. Every guitar player goes through it. And if you understand what we're going over in this video today, it's gonna make it a lot easier to get out of that rut and get to feel like you're progressing again. Reason number one. This is one of the biggest reasons why most guitar players will start to feel stuck, and that is you're not challenging yourself enough. In a lot of cases, I see guitar players play the exact same things, the same songs, the same scales, the same chords, the same licks, and they're not challenging themselves to do something that's harder, something beyond their abilities. Because here's the trick. One thing that I have learned over 20 plus years of playing is that most of the time, when you think that something is outside of your ability, it's a lot easier than it sounds. So that means it's a lot easier for you to learn it than you think it's going to be. So if you're feeling really comfortable with what you're playing right now and you're not feeling a lot of progress and you're just finding yourself playing the same songs over and over, what you need to do is find a song that you think is too hard or a technique that you think is going to be too hard to learn, something that is too hard for you. Don't think like that. Don't think that things are too hard for you. You can learn anything if you want it badly enough. And then once you identify that hard thing, go start learning it. Like I said, a lot of songs that we as guitar players will go, oh, that song's too hard. That's outside my abilities. They're a lot easier than they sound to us. We overestimate the difficulty a lot of the time. So when's the last time that you went and learned something that you thought was hard? If it's been a while since you learned a new challenging thing, it's time for you to go challenge yourself. Now, reason number two why you may feel stuck is if you're working on something and you just aren't feeling like you're progressing. There's a couple of different reasons, but this is the big one. The number one problem I see with students is they're not doing enough repetitions. And I get this from adults and I get it from kids. It happens all across the board. But not getting enough repetitions of whatever it is that you're playing is gonna make it take a whole lot longer to get it down. What I see a lot of times with students is they'll play a new lick or a solo or something that they're learning and they'll get it okay and then they'll move on to the next thing. And what I would rather see is I would rather see them work on that lick or that solo or song or whatever it is and repeat it 100 times and really get it down solid and then move on. A saying that my students are used to hearing all the time is slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And that's true with guitar playing as much as anything else. If you can practice something slow and it takes some repetitions to get it smooth when you play it slow so that it feels consistent, so that it feels like you're actually playing music and not just playing random notes slowly, then you're going to take those repetitions to speed it up. The number of repetitions of what you play has way more to do with mastering something than the amount of time spent. The 10,000 hour rule is kind of an okay benchmark, but two different people could play guitar for 10,000 hours and one of them could get 1,000 more repetitions on one thing than the other one, and clearly the other person would be better. So rather than focusing on how many hours you've played guitar or how long you've played guitar, focus on how many repetitions you are doing. I was in a class teaching guitar and we were playing a song and it was a picking pattern that kind of moved through a minor scale in the bass and had a cool little picking pattern that you did with your pick. And this covered all 6 strings. And I was going over how to play that song and I was speaking at the same time, just like I was. And I had a student say, hey, how do I get to do that? How do I get to do what you were just doing where you're playing it and you're talking at the same time? And I told her, You do 500 repetitions of it. You play it 500 times, you're going to be able to do just that. Well, this student, Emery was her name, by the way. Emery took me seriously. And not a lot of students will do this, but she started tracking how many times she played that song. And over the next 3 weeks, she played that song 500 times. And she had a double-sided piece of paper that she had tallied every single time that she practiced that song. And when she came to class 3 weeks later, she was able to play the song and talk at the same time. She was able to do it fluidly. It was smooth. She was able to play it fast. Her picking was great. It was awesome. And so that's one example of a student getting the repetitions in. If you've got something right now that you've been playing and you're kind of feeling stuck with it and you're like, oh, I'm never going to get this down. The other thing is you might not be isolating down enough. Now, another example of what most people do is they don't isolate things down enough is I was working with a new student on how to play Seven Nation Army. Right? And this student was having a hard time because I was having him do it with one finger and we were jumping from the 7th fret up to the 10th fret and back down to 7. The part that was giving him the most trouble was jumping from 7 to 10. And so what I did is I took out my phone and I put on a timer for 1 minute and I said, show me how many times you can go from 7 to 10 and just go back and forth and count how many times you can do that in 1 minute, right? And so we did it. I don't remember how many times he did it. And then I was like, cool, now let's do it for another minute. And we did it for another minute and he got even faster with it. He got better with it. And then we did it for another minute. We ended up doing this for 5 or 6 minutes where I timed him 5 or 6 separate times. The cool thing is by the end of it, he had played that change, just that change, which was giving him trouble. So we isolated it down to just 2 notes that were giving him trouble, right? Isolating it down to the most difficult part. And then in a few minutes, by gamifying a little bit, putting on the timer and counting how many changes he could do, he played that change like over 300 times in a few minutes. Then when we went back to play the actual riff, we put it back into context with the whole song. It made it a lot easier and he was so much smoother. So repetitions is really going to help you get things better a lot faster. The more repetitions that you can squeeze into a small period of time by chunking it down to the most fundamental, most difficult bit is really what's going to help you master anything that you try to tackle. So now that you know that, what are 3 things that you can do to combat being stuck in a rut and feeling like you're not getting better at guitar? 1, go pick a new challenging thing that you think is just beyond your abilities to play and go learn it. If you haven't learned a new solo in a while or a new song, go pick a song that you think is going to be too hard and start learning it. Start working on it. Number 2, take the things that you're working on when you're learning that new song or with existing things that you're practicing and isolate down and get more repetitions. Repetition, 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 repetition is the key to really getting better at the guitar. The more repetitions you can do in the shorter time span, the better you get. And now number 3, we haven't mentioned this one yet, but here's a great thing that you can do that's going to help get you out of a rut. And that is go listen to some new music. Go listen to something that is different from what you normally listen to. I listen to a lot of like Foo Fighters and Green Day and the Beatles and Red Hot Chili Peppers, which their new album is pretty inspiring to me. I like the Chili Peppers. Also, I like going and listening to stuff by like Andy Timmons, who has a new record out or coming out soon. I don't know yet. I need to go look it up. Or stuff by guys like Polyphia, which when my friend Daryl turned me on to Polyphia, I'd never heard them before. So when I first listened to them, I was like blown away and thought that's really great. So go listen to some new music. There's a few suggestions for you if you haven't listened to those. If not, be searching out some new kind of music for you to go listen to. So that's it today, guys. Really quick, really short and simple. I hope that's helpful for you and helps you feel like you can still get better at the guitar, and that whatever you're working on, if you chunk it down to the most fundamental thing, which is usually 2 notes or 2 chords, and changing between the most fundamental things and getting it smooth and then getting it fast and getting your repetitions in, that's how you get out of a rut. Also, always make sure you're challenging yourself. Now, if that was helpful and you want some more help from me, I have a gift for you at my website. If you go to simpleguitar.com/top10, there I have my guide called The Top 10 Things to Learn on Guitar First. So this might be 10 things that are a little bit different from what a lot of other teachers say, because I like to do things differently. I like to try to make learning guitar simple for you and get you a lot of bang for your buck so that you can feel like a rock star when you're playing guitar. So go to simpleguitar.com/top10, download the Top 10 Things to Learn on Guitar First guide. It's 17 pages. It's packed full of good stuff for you, and use that as you try to work out of, feeling like you're not getting better at guitar. And that might give you some new things to work on to help you get better at guitar right now. So I hope that's handy for you. Have an awesome weekend. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions or comments, do leave a comment down below, and I will see you in the next video.